minutes. And then the last few minutes of the game, about 50 minutes of the game, they struggled. They considered a goal and they almost drew that game, if not because of the combative midfield and of course the resolute goalkeeper who said, look, we cannot afford to do this again. And the defensive errors persist. Alamin Pierre Agbolagade in defense. Yes, Agbolagade is a mainstay in the team, but is Alamin living up to expectation? I don't think so right now. I think the coach should look into building the guy into playing what they want to play in the team. Yes, he's growing in confidence. His game is becoming more matured. Majority of these players who just joined to the Shooting Stars, I don't think any of them has played in a stadium where about 2,000 fans are watching. How much more of 8,000 people watching at the same time? So it's a totally different ball game for them, and they need to mature into the game.
True.
Otherwise, there will be a problem. So the team is taking shape right now. The coach's style of play is beginning to show. And I think people are running out of patience. The only reason people are not complaining now is because they were able to get back-to-back results. And this has to continue for the next 5-6 games. Otherwise, people will have to talk and say, what exactly have we brought on board that we call change? So, Shooting Stars, I see them winning against Plateau United because they are well rested and they are getting their momentum
back.
Yes.
All right. That's the analysis from the game ahead of Shooting Stars against Plateau United on Sunday, the Lakers Salami Stadium right there in Ibadan at Damasingba. Now, quick one. Let's look at other fixtures. We're going to also quickly talk about the big game for the weekend in the MPFL. But before that, let's look at Bendel Insurance. I'm going to welcome Nasarawa United. Thank you. We have Enugu Rangers against Katsina United. We have Kwara United against Abia Warriors. It's going to be a big game. Two teams have picked up a victory just yesterday. Also, Economy Warriors are going to welcome Kano Pillars, struggling Kano Pillars. And also Bara against Wari Wolves. Niger Tornadoes against Kun Khalifat. And also the big one is going to be Eyimba against Rivers United. We're also going to have Bayelsa United against Ikorodu City, and Remo Stars are going to welcome Wiki Torres. Let's talk about the big one. Eyimba United against Rivers United is going to be a big one, and these two teams are still undefeated this season in the MPFL. How do you see this game for both teams looking at where they are at this point, on the log table of the MPFL, Samson?
Yes, this is a game between the two best teams in the MPFL so far this season. Rebel Stars would have been in that light, but unfortunately, their continental engagement has really affected their play when it comes to the league. So the only two teams who are still there, Rivers United, Remo Stars, still undefeated in the league, and that for me is going to be a cracker because. Eyimba wouldn't want to slump to a defeat against Rivers United, while Rivers United has a point to prove against Eyimba. So it's going to be a battle of the midfield. We have seen these two teams play so well in midfield. Rivers United, yes, they have prolific attackers. They have players on the flank who are really good and very dangerous on the flank. And for Eyimba, they have depended so much on their midfield, capacity so far this season. The creativity in midfield has really helped them. And when you look at how they play, they don't really get broken down in midfield. So it's going to really be a tough test for Rivers in midfield, a tough test for Eyimba on the flanks. So if whoever wants it more, especially defensively, is going to carry the day. But I see this game ending with the two teams sharing the spoils. It might end up in a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. All right, a quick one. Your predictions for Kwara United against Abia Warriors?
Yes, a very tough test. Both teams won their last game. Kwara United, won yesterday. Even Abia Warriors defeated Remo Stars, the defending champions. Abia Warriors will pose a very big test for Kwara United away from home. Kwara, for me, yes, they have gotten some victories under their belt so far this season. I still don't find them convincing so far. If you could get 3 goals away from home against Asante Kotoko and then lose at home, I mean, that for me seals your position as an inconsistent team.
Agree.
So that might just play out. Yes, winning. We have seen teams who rob Peter to pay Paul. Even in the EPL, it happens. You see them winning big teams. Manchester United have done that so far this season. Winning against big teams, and then when they play against smaller teams, they just dash them the points. Like it doesn't matter. So might be the case against Kwara United. They have won their last game, yes. But Abia Warriors might just, do a shocker. Away from home.
All right, let's take more stories this wonderful morning. That's the the result. I mean, the fixtures are you know, for the weekend right there in the APFL. Let's move away from that. Let's look at the Flying Eagles. How they got the campaign back on track with a dramatic 3-2 win over Saudi Arabia. A stoppage time penalty converted by Dane Bameyi, and Nigeria's Flying Eagles a hard-fought 3-2 win against Saudi Arabia in their second Group F match at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile in the early hours of Friday morning. The game saw Saudi Arabia twice join level before Bameyu well-taken penalties sealed the win for coach Aliou Zubairu-led side. Both the Flying Eagles and Saudi Arabia went into the tie on the back of defeat to Norway and Colombia respectively. While the Flying Eagles fell to a 1 defeat to Saudi Arabia, also hosted by the same scoreline to Colombia in the group other match C, Colombia and Norway played out a goalless draw. After the second round of the matches, Colombia with 4 points at top, Norway also on 4 points at second, Flying Eagles in third position on 3 points, and Saudi Arabia at bottom in the standing. Up next for the Flying Eagles is the final group match against Colombia on Monday, the 6th of October. That's the update we are getting right here. Samson Balogun, it's a big one for the Flying Eagles. 3-2. Trust me, I watched the game, and a little bit of disappointment for me when it comes to the defensive positioning. And you are one man that speaks about having heights in defense, you know, and that affected, you know, most of their, you know, the way the Saudi Arabia played them, because it was more of long balls and nobody could defend properly. And also the goalkeeper, you know, Emmanuel Akot making a little bit of error, not having a good positioning, you know, for the second goal. But there you have it, Dane Bameyi from the spot kick, giving the Flying Eagles the much needed win and another chance to get through to the round of 16.
Well, I think this is just a step towards, you know, qualification into the next phase of the tournament. We must give kudos, no matter how little, to the team for grinding out a victory against Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately, many Nigerians would have wanted it to be smoother, easier against Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately, it became a difficult test for them. And in considering 2 goals against Saudi Arabia, especially with defensive errors, I mean, that for me, if you had played against a team that will punish you more, probably we will not be talking about a victory, it might be a defeat. So that's really going to be something big for them to play against Colombia. Colombia now on 4 points. They have every point to prove, and if they are unable to get the desired points against Colombia, all 3 points it's either all 3 points or nothing, because now Colombia on 4 points, Norway on 4 points. Says whoever comes back on 4 points will have to struggle for qualification. Now it depends on how many goals you considered. As it stands now, they have no goal balance. They have considered 3 and they have scored 3 goals. So meaning that Colombia really, you know, places ahead of them, and of course Norway too will be right ahead of them when it comes to you know, how many goals you have scored, how many goals you have considered. Of course, the mathematics really is not in favor, of the Flying Eagles. So it's a must-win against Colombia. And when you defeat Colombia, that drew against Norway, that defeated Nigeria, football is not calculated based on mathematics. On paper, we might say, oh, it will be difficult, but it might be a stroll in the park for them when they play. But they must not think that way. You must be readily prepared to actually, you know, get all points against Colombia, and that comes to being more frugal in defense. I mean, you can't keep conceding. See, the best form of defense is to attack.
I agree.
And when you are strong defensively, you are not conceding goals. Then means that you have 50% chance of winning the game.
Winning the game, true.
Because you have not conceded. But the moment you concede 1 goal, your job is to defend, and then eventually, so that you don't, you defend so you don't concede more.
Concede more, yeah, true.
And then it becomes difficult for you to now equalize. So when you equalize, you are still now on par, and you have to find a goal to win. So it's more or less like making your job more difficult for yourself, even when you could have had a more easier ride. So let's see what will happen against Colombia. But I'm not a pessimist. I don't see them doing anything spectacular against Colombia. Seeing what they did against Norway and then what they did against Saudi Arabia. I mean, I don't expect anything serious from them.
All right. There you have the result in Group E. USA beating France 3-0 for Group F, where we have Colombia, Norway, Flying Eagles of Nigeria, and Saudi Arabia. That game ended goalless. Also in Group A, South Africa against New Caledonia. The game ended 5-0. And the Group F, where we have our Flying Eagles against Saudi Arabia, the game ended 3-2. Let's look at the next story. There you have it on the screen. It's going to be a massive one going ahead of the game tonight. It's going to be an interesting one because right about now, Samson Balogun, we look at where we are at this point in time. There you have it, Azeezat Oshoala against Ashley Plumtree. Fantastic game right there in Saudi Arabia. And when I saw this image, it just made me smile. I'm like, okay, there you have the Super Falcons ladies, battling it out, and Azeezat Oshoala getting the victory. Plumtree bags an assist as Azeezat Oshoala stoppage time goal, and Al Hilal 3-2 to win against Al Ittihad. Yes, Azeezat Oshoala netted a stoppage time goal to end Al Hilal a 3-2 win against Al Ittihad in Saudi Arabia's Women's Premier League on Thursday. Also in action was Azeezat Oshoala's Super Falcons teammate Ashley Plumtree, who had an assist. Also, the game ended 3-2. Azeezat Oshoala was recently named the Saudi Women's Premier League Player of the Month in the month of September. Fantastic. Yes. For you, you look at the end of the day, these players are coming back for WAFCON preparation, but you have Azeezat Oshoala and Ashley Plumtree on the side.
The good thing when you witness this kind of events is that you get to see Nigerian players slugging it out against one another with their different club sides. And unfortunately, one will have to come out on top of the other. Doesn't mean that the other one doesn't know what the game is about, but most definitely you don't have two winners in a game. You either share the spoils, one loses and one wins. So it's that's what it's about. And congratulations to Azeezat Oshoala on the new award. It just tells, it's a testimony of what she has achieved so far as a football player. And that seals her place as one of the best female African players we would ever see on planet Earth. Consistently winning, African Footballer of the Year a few times, and then eventually, moving to Saudi Arabia. If you look at the clubs she has played for so far in her career, she was at Liverpool, went to Barcelona Feminine, played for Arsenal. These are quality, top class teams. And if you could play for Barcelona and then be in the same team with Aitana Bonmati and a host of other players, and then be a starter in that team, that tells you how much of a quality player you are. But it's just like that for African players. When they have played for a team for some time, and then they feel like, I think it is time for me to move on.
To just relax.
And it's just a normal thing. If you look at her age now, she knows that she doesn't have too many years under her belt. And the best place to be right now is Saudi Arabia. And I want to correct a notion that people think, once you have moved to Saudi Arabia, you are in the Farmers League, you want to play. Look at what Saudi Arabia did to the Nigerian team yesterday, and of course the earlier hours of today.
There you go.
It only tells you how developed that league has become.
True.
You see, what you do not have, you can buy. There are some things you do not have that you can buy. Saudi Arabia imported the best brains from England, from Germany, from everywhere. Michael Emenalo was a Chelsea man. He was moved down to Saudi Arabia as director of football for the whole league. So they spotted what he was able to do with Chelsea and said, let's bring you on board. And you see, former referees like Mark Clattenburg moving from Europe down to Saudi Arabia, it's not really about the money, it's about value. What are you bringing to the table? And then if you feel valued as a person, take for example, Toluwani decides to move from Dominion to somewhere tomorrow. It's not really about the money sometimes. It's about value. What are you bringing to the, we know we need you and we want you to give us this service, and then we'll give you that. So over time, they were able to import talent. Oscar left Chelsea, to China at his prime when he was doing really fine, and left to China. And we have seen Cristiano Ronaldo play in the Saudi Pro League. We have seen other quality players to join the league, and then we have seen value. Alexander Mitrovic left Fulham and then went to Saudi Arabia, and he's doing really fine. Karim Benzema at least had 2 more years to play in Europe, and then decided to move to Saudi Arabia. So these are things you will continue to see when people decide to take what they don't have and then buy with money. And they have been able to do that. So it is evident in what we are doing now. So whoever thinks going to Saudi Arabia is you going on break, you are a joker. Because when you get there, you realize the fact that there are more Saudi nationals who are much better than players in Europe, and they are playing their local leagues. And they are well paid. So they don't care about going out. They want to play in their own league. So staying back to develop, just like we have not been able to do in the Nigerian league, some people believe in Brazil, for example, before you can be sold, you must have made an impact in that team. Before Neymar left, Neymar had done something for his former club. Before players like Adriano left the league, they must have done something. So this is the area where Nigeria also has to develop. Before you export your best players, your best legs, keep them for at least 1 or 2 years. Let them play active football in the league, and then you build with that. So it's for Asisat Oshoala, congratulations to her. And
actually, prompted also getting an assist.
Yes, getting an assist in that game. I mean, that tells you how important these two players are for their teams, and then keeps them in shape. When they come back to play for Nigeria, I mean, the energy, the synergy will be there, the chemistry will be there.
All right, let's look at how FIFA unveils the 2026 World Cup ball called Trinoda. That's the new ball we're going to have for the FIFA World Cup. Fantastic. There you have it, Samson Balogo. Looking at the image, you know, it's just gearing up already for the World Cup in 2026. We are prepared already, and we are hoping that the Super Eagles, Samson, you don't look too excited because the Super Eagles of Nigeria will not be at the World Cup. Is that what you're looking? But there you have it. This is the ball, the match ball ahead of the FIFA World Cup happening in the Trianda and in 2026. A quick one. Let's have other. It's going to be a big one because we're looking at the qualifiers at this point in time ahead of the World Cup. And the World Cup list for October ahead of the World Cup is out already. Samson Balogun, and there you have it on the screen. We have goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali, we have Amas Obazoge, and we have Adebayo Adeleye. And also for the defensive position, we have Felix Agu, we have Bruno Oyemachi, we have Bright Osai Samuel, we have Semia Jaim is back, we have William Trust Ekong, we have Calvin Bassi, and we have Benjamin Fredericks. There you have it on the screen. Also for the midfield position, we have Alex Iwobi, we have Wilfred Ndidi, we have Frank Oyeka, we have Ali Azan Yusuf. Also for the forward position, we have Moses Simon, we have Ademola Lukman, we have Tolu Arokodari, we have Victor Osimhen, we have Tere Murphy is back in action for the Super Eagles. Sirius Desas, we have Samuel Chukwueze, Ako Adams also, and also Ola Olusegun. And remember, we have Lesotho to play October 10, and we have the Benin Republic October 14. Samson, the World Cup list for you, you know, were there names that were missing, or, you know, who would you have loved to see, you know, in the squad list for this World Cup qualification?
I think you know, we are beginning to have, except for in the goalkeeping department where I will ask questions about Amas Obasoge in that team. But then for the rest of the players who have been invited, I think it's well. I don't want to go that route this morning, but so I still don't want to go towards that route this morning. But then if you look at you know, the rest of the team, and you check what they are doing for their team so far this season, you see that most of them have been starters. They have been regular players. Tolu Arokodare, you know, got his first goal, his morale booster for Wolverhampton Wanderers in the cup game. Victor Osimhen still got a goal against Liverpool. Tere Murphy has been on fire in the French Ligue 1. Cyril Desas, he has had a fantastic season last season. He has not really relented so far this season. Samuel Chukwueze just moved to Fulham because you need a left-footed player. Yes, that might be, you know, the reason he's in the team. Ako Adam has been one fantastic one for Sevilla so far this season, and got a goal over the weekend. So you can see Moses Simon, for example, has been the shining light for Paris FC so far this season. I mean, he's at the center of everything good that comes to life in their attack. And you can say, for example, that you know, the coach has made some changes to the team, bringing back some players who are no longer in the team. Ademola Lukman, yes, is back in the starting 11 for his team, and then it's just a good one that he's back. Alassane Yusuf is one of the players that has been missing for some time. Now plays in America, but you know, when you look at what he brings to the team defensively, was that the last AFCON, and you know, it's a testimony of his hard work so far. Wilfred Ndidi, a mainstay in the team. Frank Oyeka to Alex Iwobi in midfield. I mean, these are quality players, and these are still the best Nigeria can provide right now in midfield. And defensively, you have Bright Osai Samuel, an explosive wing back, Semi Ajayi, a tall central defender, Felix Agu, Bruno Oyemachi at left back, Benjamin Fredericks can play anywhere, right back, center back, you just put him there. Calvin Bassi, a mainstay in the Fulham team this season. So I think the coach was able to make a choice. And you know, this is a team that should walk past Lesotho without blinking an eye. But unfortunately, I'm just scared that you know, these 6 months might not just be 6 months eventually.
Yeah.
But let's just hope that the coaches' technical input will help them walk past these two teams.
All right, there you have the squad list for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Also, let's quickly also look at the game ahead for the WAFCON qualifiers. There you have it on the screen. We have a game against Benin Republic also for the Super Falcons. This is for the Super Eagles. Let's have the Super Falcons game ahead of the WAFCON. Right there you have the WAFCON qualifiers against Benin Republic. Also, there you have it on the screen. October, it's going to be a big one for both the Super Eagles and also the Super Falcons. It's going to be October 24 and also October the 28th. Yes, ahead of the WAFCON qualifiers. The Super Falcons are getting prepared for that one. Let's move away from that. Let's talk Formula One. It's going to happen in Singapore. Yes, there is a Singapore Grand Prix, and we are gearing up ahead of that one. It's going to be a massive one right there. And when you look at the last 5 Singapore Grand Prix winner, you see Lewis Hamilton. Also, you look at Sebastian Vettel, you look at Perez, you look at Sainz, and also Lando Norris, who's going to pick up the Singapore Grand Prix on the podium. And quick one, something, Lewis Hamilton lost his dog, you know, massive. When I saw the write-up, you know, I got a little bit, I'm like, oh, what's happening? Then I had to look at, there are people who cherish pets, and you need to see the write-up. You know, it spoke about the dog, you know, how it might affect, you know, his race ahead of the Singapore right here. But for you there, you have the last 5 winners, and you look at the McLaren boys, you know, getting on podium. How do you see this one happen right there in the Singapore Grand Prix?
You see, in the other part of the world, especially in Europe, America, you know, they value things that an average African man really do not care about.
I think Africa has to cherish. I think we cherish a little bit.
Yes, to an extent. You know, majority of Africans who actually do pets, they are not that much. They are not that much, and I don't want to go the route of what I wanted to say in the first place. You know. But the truth is, so when you see how much of an impact this will have on Hamilton's performance, you know, in Singapore, I think you know, someone should just talk to him right now and then calm him down, because people are attached, just like family members. They are really attached to their pets. And of course, when you saw the write-up, you realize the fact that he's really attached. They are more or less like friends, and you know, that tells you how much of an impact it is going to have on him. But you can trust Lewis Hamilton to always pull out his A games anytime, any day, without the fear of being, discouraged or maybe disappointed in himself eventually. But then these are major men, you know, who are going to be behind the wheels. You have Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Pies, Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris. These are, you know, fantastic drivers with different brands. So let's see what will happen.
Okay.
But I'm tipping someone like Carlos Sainz to just come from anywhere.
From anywhere,
yes.
And get it done. All right. For the first practice section, that is done already. Alonso, Charles Leclerc, Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, Adja Sainz, Yunika Tsunoda, and Ocon, Sebastian Ocon also getting that 1 to 10. Also remember, the second practice session is going to happen also today. There you have it. You're going to have them on the podium, and the race is going to be for Sunday. That is that for the Formula One Singapore Grand Prix. Let's move away from that. Let's look at the Premier League fixtures for this weekend. It's going to be a massive one, and I'm sure we are preparing ahead for the big one, Liverpool against Chelsea. And I'm just going to ask you something, Balogun. That game is, I don't know how to actually put that game, but for you, Liverpool already out with Alisson already injured for 6 weeks. We've got a report that Igor Ekitike and Federico Chiesa are back already in training, and Alexander Isak also is active. But for Chelsea, Enzo Maresca would be preparing ahead for this one. How do you see this game pan out for Liverpool and Chelsea going into the weekend?
Well, some major injury boost for Liverpool. They missed some players, and then they are back in the team, and that's major booster for them against Chelsea. And for Chelsea too, they have some players back from injury. For example, Romeo Lavia is rumored to be back in the team and then raring to go. So I see Liverpool. I mean, Chelsea struggling against Liverpool, because it still boils down to the selection process. If the coach gets his selection right, especially starting 11, then it's going to be a problem for Chelsea. We saw what happened against Manchester United, especially against the big teams so far this season. They have not really been, what you would expect them to be. But the truth of the matter is, Liverpool is, yes, to an extent they have been found out. But when the team gets found out and they are playing against another big team, you don't expect them to be as poor as they were, in the last game. So it's going to be a battle for supremacy, a battle for survival, a battle for who stays afloat, a battle for a test of strength, and most definitely the fight for pride. So that's going to be what that game will be against Liverpool and Chelsea. So I'm tipping Liverpool to be runaway winners.
All right, so quick one. Let's just have this prediction. Leeds United against Spurs for you. How do you see that game? What's your prediction for that quickly?
Well, it's going to end up in favor of Spurs, maybe 2-1.
All right, Arsenal against West Ham United?
Arsenal against West Ham United is going to be a strolling park for Arsenal, so maybe a 2-0 victory for Arsenal.
Manchester United against Sunderland?
Man United against Sunderland. Yes, they really need to be careful with Isidore. He's a fantastic goal scorer for Sunderland so far this season. Even since they lost Magui back to Chelsea, who came on loan, they have still not struggled that much in front of goal. Might end up in a draw, but most definitely I see Sunderland scoring a goal in that one.
All right, Chelsea Liverpool?
Chelsea-Liverpool, that should be Liverpool doing the victory against Chelsea.
Against Chelsea?
Yes.
Amazing. Okay, Aston Villa against Burnley on Sunday?
Aston Villa against Burnley. Aston Villa, yes, so far this season they've struggled to score goals. Burnley almost got a result against Manchester City. But then, if I am to pick, I'll be picking Aston Villa, especially because they are playing at home.
Okay, and Newcastle against Nottingham Forest. We're going to talk about Nottingham Forest now pretty soon because it's been a major struggle.
Yes, it should be a stroll in the park for Newcastle United. Yes, especially the fact that they are coming on the back of a victory in Europe. Should be a stroll in the park for them against Nottingham Forest.
All right, Wolverhampton Wanderers against Brighton of Albion.
It's going to be a tough test, a very tricky one for Wolverhampton Wanderers. They have not been too convincing, but having a main man that can score you goals in Tolu Arukodare this season should boost their morale going forward in the next few games. But Brighton will prove to be a difficult visitor.
Coming from a win against Chelsea.
Will be a difficult visitor for Wolverhampton.
All right, Brentford against Manchester City as we wrap up.
Brentford have shown character this season.
I agree.
They have shown character.
I agree.
And they have been really tough. Yes, in some cases where they had to lose the game, they've shown exactly what they're capable of doing. They have scored goals against big teams. And Manchester City, for me, they have not really convinced me this season. Yes, they might run out, run away winners, but it will be so close.
All right. Those are the fixtures for match week 7 right there in the Premier League. So you can drop your predictions also on the comment section. I would have loved to talk about Crystal Palace, having back-to-back wins, are still unbeaten this season, and also Ange Postecoglou, having so much to do right there with Nottingham Forest on the go. But we can take that. But there you have it on the screen is not looking too good. There you have Crystal Palace, something quickly within few seconds. Crystal Palace, Oliver Glasner doing something fantastic with Crystal Palace this season. Quickly,
he has really transformed that team. He has done a big transformation in the team. He's in fact he's one of the revelations of from last season to now. He's been a revelation, and I do feel like there's still a lot he can bring on board for them, for the team.
All right, that's all we can take on the show today. We're going to be leaving with highlights from the game of the Flying Eagles against Saudi Arabia in Chile. Big thank you to everyone that joined us today. Please make sure you share, make sure you like, make sure you comment, and make sure you tell somebody about Dominion Television, because this is your channel of choice. Something about a good thank you so much for coming on the show today. All right, you're going to enjoy the highlights from the game between Flying Eagles and Saudi Arabia. Have a wonderful day. Stay blessed.